This is a late night Denny's in Cleveland, Tennessee. And come to find out, these waiters were drag queens. And basically, like, through befriending them and going to drag shows, like, I was just like, why do you want to be a woman? Like, why do you want to dress like a woman? Like, because in my brain, I'm like, we're weak, you know, like, nobody listens to us, we're weak, it's not good. And they're like, oh no, honey. So, and they, you know, taught me how being a woman is powerful, and how being attractive can be powerful, and how, you know, like, how you don't have to feel victimized, and, you know, like, all the power within that. And so that is when I finally, I think, stopped hating the fact that I was a woman.
That's my friend Brandy Lynn. She's an acupuncturist and herbalist, as well as the co-owner of the Silver Fern, a gift shop and gallery in Cookeville, Tennessee.
It really is like I'm doing what's best for me, which is why I'm going through a lot of what I'm going through, is because I have to make these changes, and they're really hard changes. And I think that really goes hand in hand with self-confidence, right? If you let yourself stay in something that's not good for you, you're not going to be your best self.
That's my friend Brie Flora, the Silver Fern's other half. She is a jeweler, metalsmith, and curator of the Fiddlehead Gallery inside the shop. My name is Molly Perry, and I'm a graphic designer at Tennessee Tech University. I know lots of talented, funny, creative people, and on this podcast, we're going to be meeting a lot of them. Without further ado, this is episode 5 of Molly Made Friends. Thank you for joining me.
There's some cool people on my couch right now. Like, really cool people. And the fact that they're in my apartment at all is kind of crazy. And I think that you guys will freak out because it's Brie and Brandy from the Silver Fern.
Oh my gosh, we are not that cool. Molly is way cooler than us.
No. Would you guys want to introduce yourselves, maybe?
Sure. I'm Brandy Lynn, co-owner of the Silver Fern, and just like you put on your little thing, I'm an acupuncturist, herbalist, and I'm into tea and wellness and also having fun.
Do you have all the tea?
I got a lot of tea.
And hello, I'm Brie Flora. I'm the art one.
Woohoo!
No, I'm a jeweler, an artist, and kind of run the gallery over at the Silver Fern, and also co-owner of the Silver Fern.
I think it's important to note that Brie is currently wearing a pee-pee poo-poo hat.
Just for you.
Thank you.
I bought it for her.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a gift that was needed.
Because, I mean, it's cool that you have this bestie situation where, like, you know what you guys need.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, when in doubt, be stupid.
Yes.
You know, like...
I agree.
Don't take life seriously, and when shit is really bad, sometimes you just gotta say pee-pee poo-poo.
Yeah. I mean, literally, it was kind of a joke between us for a while. Like, we just saw a lot of pee-pee poo-poo stuff. We, for some reason, it would be like a long day at the shop, and I would just look over and be like, pee-pee poo-poo, and then she would do it too. And I feel
of solidarity.
Yeah.
It has almost been a year, so I feel like I can talk about this without crying immediately. But it was after my sister passed away, and I think you never know what to get people as gifts.
Yeah.
But Brandy knew exactly what to get me as a gift, and it was this pee-pee poo-poo hat.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, made me feel, you know.
Honestly, I'm kind of an exceptional gift giver. I hate to say it. But
Well, I mean, you also run, like, the coolest gift shop in
No.
town, so you kind of have to be.
Thanks.
well, thank you.
Speaking of your shop, I think that you guys are very impressive people because unlike most people where we sit around and we say, man, I'd love to open a shop or do this and that, you guys actually did it, which I think is really, really cool and very impressive. I want to know when it was where you were like, actually, no, this doesn't just have to be a dream. We can actually do this.
When I lost all my work in 2020.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I feel like we've talked about this a couple of times with other people, but it truly was, I worked for a jeweler in Massachusetts. I started as an intern when I was in college, and then she hired me on, and I watched her and worked with her while she opened up her storefront, similar to ours, except for the fact that it's more jewelry focused. There's no wellness side. It's literally just like it's an art gallery. And she has other things besides jewelry, but it's definitely jewelry heavy. And then her studio's in the back. So unlike ours, right, Brandy works out of the back. My studio is not there. But so I had experience with it, and I watched someone do it. And so in the back of my head, I thought, one day I would like something like that. And I was in, at that point in my life around 2020, right before that all started, the pandemdem times, I think I had almost 20 craft shows lined up around the U.S. that I was supposed to do. Dang. I was like, okay, this is going to be like the year. Because I had been doing it pretty much full time for 2 years, with a little bit of teaching here and there. And I was like, okay, this is the route I'm going. It's like where I was at. And that was all taken away. So I was getting acupuncture from Brandy, and we have been friends at this point. And I know she had talked to me about wanting to somehow provide her clients with the herbalism side of things and the tinctures. And we just kind of talked about it and had a meeting every day for a week during 2020 in our little bubble, and
That's
made
cool.
a business plan.
Not every day, but
not every day, every week.
Once a week, yeah. So I mean, I've started businesses before. It's not like, I got a little age on everyone. So like I've done it. I'd run my own business. I had watched other people run their businesses. I had started a nonprofit from scratch at one point after grad school. So like I knew it was doable, but it's like, for me, I saw like an urgency for Brie, right? Because like literally all of her work was taken away from her. Through the pandemic, I lost only 6 weeks of work. And then when I went back, everybody was like really into being healthy. So it was fine. I did a lot of acupuncture. But I just kind of wanted something that was my own. I've wanted to, I don't know, it's like I help people. That's great. But it's like I wanted to create something for the community that didn't exist. And art's always been incredibly influential on my life. I mean, I'm a musician, but like just all art, right? Like it's always taken me to places in my mind, or it's always been good and healing for me. Like I see that as like a healing thing too. And so, yeah, I was just like, if we're going to be serious about it, we're going to meet every week. I think every Friday we met, or Monday. I can't remember what day it was. And we did that and made a business plan in it probably took us like 6 months to make the business plan. And then an additional 3 months to really like secure our money and do all the things. And the cool thing is, it's like, we had a business plan, we looked at our projections for the year, and when we actually did the thing, we even did just a tiny bit better than we anticipated. Not like awesome. A ton, but a tiny bit. Yeah. And so after the end of the first year, besides the exhaustion and burnout that was happening, it's like we could look back and be like, yeah, we did it. Like, we got more to do, but like, we got through the first year. I think that's
I think that little bit extra, I think that was a wink from the universe saying, yep, you did the right thing.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, we have grown a little bit every year, which is, honestly, we were even told, like, expect losses. Yeah. And Brandy and I have talked about this a lot. We are really thankful for the other business owners in town that we've been able to bounce ideas off of. We're all very supportive. But, we're doing things a little bit differently, like, than some. Not all. Like, I can't speak for everyone, but we really are. It's just the two of us. We have no employees right now, which we do want to change one day. But right now, it's still just us. And that's for a reason. It's hard, but it's low cost, low risk. We don't have a lot of pretty much all the art. There's some that's not, but it's special cases, but it's all consignment. So, right, that's not
as much upfront cost. So, I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back, but like, we were able to create a business model, like you just said, that was low risk. That was not like, if things went south, we weren't going to be put out of anything. Like, we didn't take out these huge loans. We did as much as we could. Now, what sacrificed for that was like our time, right? Like, we don't get paid and we put in a lot of time. Yeah. But the thing is, it's like, if you want to see something grow, if you want something to become like successful, like, you have to be willing to give up something in some
'Cause
way.
up until the end of last year, you know, I was working a part-time job, which I acquired towards the end of 2020. Into 2021 is when I really started. But it's a school that I used to work at up in Massachusetts, so I worked remotely for them doing, essentially I was a glorified TA. So I did virtual teacher assistants. I did a lot of the admin stuff for that, so emailing the students that were in the classes, supporting the professor during the virtual class. I did their social media from afar. And I did all that, plus making my jewelry and just trying to sell that online or at other places, applying for shows, doing a few, you know, working with Brandy to find the time that I can go away to either teach a workshop in person or, you know, do all those things. It's, you know, people don't realize that. And then Brandy's full-time job still is being acupuncturist. So we, it's a juggling game.
Yeah, for real.
You gotta want to do this. To do it.
Where do you think that motivation comes from? Because, I mean, like, you're running your butt off all the time, and you're knocking it out of the park from my standpoint. But where do you think you are able to achieve that level of motivation from?
I think part of it is, like, wanting to see something cool in the world. Like,
Yeah.
who wouldn't have wanted something like this, like, when they were younger, you know, to have access to, and, like, when I think about Cookeville, you know, like, we're definitely like a destination for outdoors activities, right? We have all sorts of hiking and all of this, but, like, in my brain, I'm like, there's no reason we shouldn't be, like, fostering the art community, and not just, like, that exists, but it's like, we have this university with this outstanding art program that not a lot of people know about.
No.
Which is just wild. Yeah. And it's like, you know, we want those people to stay here. Like, we want to foster, like, that part of the community. We want people who like art and are into art. And I want to expose people who don't have the opportunity to get to see this kind of art anywhere else, to be able to be exposed to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we do have a lot of alumni, and we've worked with one of the classes that they've done a show, the Make Do show, which is the professional practices class. This will be the third year they're doing that. So yeah, I mean, we work with students and established artists, and then recent graduates. We have a wide range too of, like, who. And now that to say, I have learned that now I am in a position, and I didn't even expect this, is that a lot of people want to be in our shop, right? And I can't say yes to everyone. And it's been a learning experience for my own personality to basically be like, I don't want to let these people down in a really harsh way, but we do have standards. Like, I will say that there are standards, and I like to help people grow and talk about, like, pricing and what that looks like and shit. I'm still figuring all that out, but there's a lot of people we do have in the shop that, you know, I'm like, your work is great, and they're undervaluing themselves immensely. I mean, I don't even know if I've said that to you, like you, when you've dropped off your stuff before, and I'm probably like, more. But it's true. But then I feel bad, you know, when people just walk right off and they just bring me a you know, shoebox full of things, and I'm like, well, this is not how I go about doing this. I need you to send me an email, and
I found this on the ground. Ain't it cool?
It is a thing that I've been learning that with being open now for almost 3 years, as to, like, how to protect myself in the shop, but also I think all the local artists too. Like, we want to support everyone, but there's a limit that we have to be able to do that, and we're figuring it out with the application process now for the, you know, gallery. This last year was the first time I had call for art with an actual, you know, there was a fee, and then I got outside people, other artists and professionals in the area to help me jury the show. I hadn't done that before, but I still have people coming in and they just go, I want a show, how does that work? And I go, well, you have to apply. But I think that that's something that we're doing too that's good, right? That's educating. We have a lot of really awesome self-taught artists in this town, but they don't necessarily know how all those things work. Yeah. So us being able to provide a space for them to potentially show their work where maybe other people wouldn't let them, and being, like, willing to have that kind of conversation where I've been to galleries before and I've walked in and they're just like, nah. Like, there's just no conversation at all. And I think people don't know how galleries work because galleries are so...
inaccessible.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm an artist first, but now I am, like, a gallery owner, which is weird. I still don't feel that way at times. But, like... So I know what it's like to be an artist and work with a gallery. So I'm like treading this fine line of like, okay, I want to do as much as I can for those artists while not, you know, messing up the business.
Well, or compromising like your vision for the business, or
Yeah.
you know, like you said, like there's a line. It's like plenty. Like you don't have to go to art school to be a good artist,
Yeah.
right? Or to produce good work. But there are certain basics within art and certain things that make something a higher quality, that make it, you know.
And that's different within multiple, like, there's so many different types of art. But, and then it's not just that, it's also how you come and talk to me.
Yeah.
Or how you present yourself. Or how you're prepared to, like, come in or send. It's just, there's just things. There's things.
People be wild sometimes, though.
You have a face that you make that I think I call the "Are you serious?" face, where you know someone will say something asinine, and your immediate face to that is
Mine?
yeah,
Have you seen it happen in real
a brave
time?
smile,
A brave
a
smile.
brave wide-eyed smile.
It's hard, man. It's hard. Yeah. I don't want to be a dream crusher.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Are you, like, have you guys been surprised by, or really have you guys noticed that, like, you are very nurturing of artists in the community? Have you been surprised by
No,
things that have happened?
I think maybe Brie has been, but I'm not, because that's just like what I do, right? As an
Yeah.
acupuncturist, like that's just my personality. It's always been my personality. I don't know that Brie wanted the nurturing role, but has been put into that role and is really good at it as long as people are willing to like accept her feedback, because Brie, like all of us, has imposter syndrome sometimes, but like Brie has an excellent eye for things. You know, like, I think people are scared to be critiqued these days, but critiques are so important. It's like what helps you and pushes you to be better from an outside perspective. Because if the only person you're asking is your friends who are like, you're awesome, we love you, you know, like, that's not doing you any favors. And sometimes that comes across to people, you know, as rude or mean, or, oh, they don't like me or whatever. And it's not that. It's like, you know, I think both of us always just want to see everybody be a better version of themselves. Like, you want to push them to be the best version of themselves.
I mean, critiques in college for me were like huge. I mean, I had some bad ones. I had some really, really bad ones. And I learned a lot from that, though, you know, and I had a lot of professors that challenged me. So that, I do believe that there is a big difference. Like we said before, you do not have to go to school to be a great artist at all. But there are things that you get put through.
It's definitely beneficial.
Yeah. And that's something I've thought about, you know, trying to either, whether it's through Art Round Tennessee, because I'm on the board, or just, I don't know, maybe a Silver Fern day or something. I don't want to do this now, but like maybe down the line, is like having almost like a portfolio, like a really relaxed portfolio review day. And I would have to find other people to also be willing to give their time. But I mean, just as an example, because I can't remember this person's name. I don't think I've seen them since. And, you know, if they listen to this and they might know that I'm talking about them. This was like 2 years ago. I think you were here. It was a painter that came into the shop. And they were like, I want to put my paintings in your shop. And I was like, oh, well, just send me an email. And they're like, well, no, I have them in my car. And just goes out and comes in with like stacks and stacks and stacks of paintings. And so I was like, okay, here we go. And they start putting them out for me to show me all the paintings. I'm like, okay, yep. And I'm looking at them. Some of them are really nice. Like some of them they were interesting, but some of them were not. And some of them looked very unfinished. And then this was the thing that stood out to me the most. And I said this to them. I was like, so, you know, you sign these extremely differently. Like, one would have this like their signature on the painting. Sometimes they'd be huge, sometimes they'd be small, sometimes it was like a drawing, sometimes it was written, sometimes it was cursive, sometimes it was wild. And I said, hey, like a suggestion, like this painting is great because of this. You finish the sides, you like, the edges of the canvas isn't just white canvas. But also, why are you signing it so differently? It's good to experiment, but like you should keep that consistent.
Yeah.
And they looked at me just like, huh? And so I'm realizing in that moment, it's like, oh, I'm going to have to give like feedback like this to a lot of people if they really want to be in the shop, I guess. And I've never put myself in that position, but I think it does come more naturally to me than I realized because I have an education degree. So like I did art ed. Cool. Like I double majored art ed and jewelry and metalsmithing. But I think if I'm not in that like classroom or workshop setting, it's just I'm not a educator 100% of the time. So this is like a different way of educating people, and I think I'm just getting used to it.
So basically, Brandy is the one who like finds a cat outside and then brings it to Brie, and then Brie's like, I don't want this cat, I don't like this cat, and then you're like the dad who's like always cuddling with the cat and stuff afterwards.
Interesting way to put it.
Well, yeah.
No, Brandy is like, everyone loves Brandy. Brandy is
what's
a special
like?
Person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but she also gives too much sometimes.
Yeah. Which is part of like, right, back to just wanting to own a shop too, because being an acupuncturist, you have to give a lot of yourself. You listen to people's physical and mental problems all day long, and it gets exhausting. And so, like, not that I'll probably ever like quit being an acupuncturist, but it's definitely something I want to like be able to step back a little bit and put more into the shop and the retail. And like I love getting to talk about the tea and herbs and like make special blends for people. Like that's fun. I like that.
Well, you're still helping people when you do that.
Yeah, I'm still helping people. It's just like not having to give quite as much.
What made you get into wellness in the first place? Was there maybe an event in your life where you were like, dang, I want to make a difference?
Technically, it was a bet that I lost with an acupuncturist. But so the first time I had acupuncture, I had tendinitis from doing repetitive motion in a doctor's office that I worked at. I was just a receptionist at the time, and I had started kind of working my way up to be like a medical assistant. But so I got I told the doctor, and he was like, well, you can take steroids or go see the acupuncturist. And I was like, well, I don't want to take steroids. I'll go see the acupuncturist. She gave me one treatment. She was this like old Chinese woman who was probably like 80 years old. I'm pretty sure she was blind because her room was like pitch black and her glasses were like tinted and dark. So I don't think she could.
You know it's going to be good.
Yeah, I don't think she could see anything. So she gave me one treatment and it fixed it. And I was like, okay, well, there's something to this. Well, she was very not really wanting to share information with me, so I didn't think too much of it, and she eventually left, and a guy named David Tharp, he's an acupuncturist in Chattanooga now, and this was in Chattanooga when I lived down there. He came in, and so I had a history of endometriosis. I had to have like surgery that verified that I had it. They put me on, like, these drugs that made me go into, like, menopause for a year so I wouldn't have a period. Wow. But it made me, like, feel absolutely, like, crazy and insane. Yeah. Like, so eventually he was like, hey, I can help you with that, with acupuncture. And I was like, whatever, man. He goes, let's make a bet. And I was like, okay. Because I was going to go to school to be a nurse practitioner. I, was looking to do that. And so, so the bet was, right, if he could help me, if he could, like, fix what was going on, I would go to acupuncture school instead of nurse practitioner school. And, sure enough, I mean, like, 3 months of consistent acupuncture and herbs, and, like, I would say my symptoms were, like, cut in half. It was, like, pretty, like, obvious what was happening. And so, like, that didn't, completely eradicate it, but being at school and getting treated and taking herbs regularly, eventually it's like just not even an issue for me anymore. I don't think I have it.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty life-changing. And then just working in the medical industry, like, I was so lucky. I worked at a place called the Center for Integrative Medicine. So they had like MDs, they had DOs, they had nurse practitioners, they had counselors, they had nutritionists, they had massage, they had acupuncture. It was like really like everybody.
That's cool.
And so their whole approach, right, was to like do the least invasive thing first.
Yeah.
And even
That's
like
refreshing.
yeah, and like even like, you know, I was in my early 20s, and so like there was a short period where I was on depression medication, and they had the attitude of being like, this isn't a long-term thing, like this is temporary to get you through a hard time until you find the things you need to do to cope with what's going on, and then we'll taper back off of it. And so like, right, like a totally different attitude. And yeah, you know, it's like, I am not like, I will make this very clear, like some people mistake my profession for me being super woo or like being anti-vax or like any of that stuff, and like that is not me. Like my education was very medical based, and I obviously attract, because of what I do, people who are on all sorts of areas of the spectrum. And, you know, like I'm a very like, your body, your choice, but some choices make you more of an asshole, but you know, like whatever. So yeah, it's wild. I don't know. It's been wild. So that's how I got into it. And, you know, I do like it. And of course I like helping people, but also like, it's just it's sometimes a lot when people are like, fix me. And it's like, fuck, you're putting a lot on me. I'm just like a person, just a human.
Are there a lot of people that kind of see it as almost like a therapeutic thing? Like you're kind of a therapist?
100%. I like just watching it and knowing some of her clients, and they're wonderful people, but you know, it is.
I mean, look, right, like I don't just deal with like the physical, like I don't separate like mental, spiritual, physical. It's all connected. The way I see the body and how it works together. And so, yeah, like some of it has to do with boundaries, right? Like I've been doing this for we're coming up on 13 years now. So like some of it is like setting boundaries with the people, that you have to learn to do. But like, it's hard when you see people hurting or sad or in bad situations and you want to help, but there's also like, there is like healthy boundaries to create too, because I can't do everything for everyone. And I have to like protect my mental health and like my time and all of my things. So yeah, that's something I've had to learn as I go along. And also now I'm in a place where, you know, I don't really take new patients anyways, and it's like if someone does want to come see me, you know, I try to have a conversation with them first, also to temper their expectations, because like I'm not a miracle worker. Like I can work with your body, but like if you're just going to continue to do the same things you've always done, you know, like I can't make you.
It's like what you're offering is one tool of many.
Yes.
Like you said with how you lost the bet. Like I always love that story, but it's a good example of, you know, a lot of the other things we offer in the shop. Even I've learned to try and explain, because I've had to learn tiny things. But then if Brandy's not around, I'm like, you should probably come back when the actual herbalist is here, because I am not that. But, you know, that this is something you need to implement over the period of like more than 1 month to even start maybe seeing a difference. And I think that's part of why a lot of people don't trust or haven't like tried that, like these types of things, because we want the fix and we want it now. It's like it's lifestyle change too, and I've slowly like, you know, been learning about that for my own self, like through being friends with Brandy and now working there, and like I've implemented new things. But yeah, when you ask if it's therapy, I mean, even I've felt bad. I've just come in on my off days, like she works on Tuesdays, but I don't, and it'll be like, can you please put those things in my ears that makes me freaking not want to scream, like the calm down points. Can I have the calm down points?
Those sound lovely.
They work on your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system, so they help to regulate. So yeah, you know,
and it really works. Like I'll be like like shaking, and then after like 10 minutes, I'm like, I feel a little better now. Thank you.
I shaked it all out. That's crazy. I love that. You hit on the fact that I think that as women generally, I think all of us kind of try or feel like we need to try to be everything to everyone, and that we need to be like naturally just kind of agreeable
go with the flow type people. How do you set boundaries in your life to preserve your peace?
What an interesting question for me right now. I'm going to let you go first.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's like there's a learning curve there, and it's different with everyone. And the things that you need and give at certain points in your life are different, right? Like, I'm now, like, in my 40s. I'll be 43 in April. So, like, what is important to me boundary-wise now is definitely different from when I was 20, in my 20s, or even in my 30s. Like, things like change and how you learn to communicate changes.
I decided this year that the 2024 would be my year of no. Mm-hmm. Because in the past, I realized that I have let a lot of people down by just saying yes to everything, especially work-wise.
Yeah.
And by saying no more, I have not only freed up my own time for things that I want to do, but I'm also being more authentic towards my friends and the people who need me. So that's one thing that I've done.
Yeah, for sure. And and the other thing is just like finding out what like feeds your soul in a way, right? Like, I started doing counseling when I was in my early 20s, and I'm not currently seeing someone now, but I pretty much did counseling all the way through into my mid 30s, and things that I learned that I need. I've learned that I need alone time. Like, I need time where it's just me, whether I go do something on my own, or I take a vacation alone. Like, that is something that like helps to like fill me back up. And quiet. Like, there's oftentimes, in my, like, when I go visit my family, there's constantly like stimulus and music or a loud blasting TV or something. And, I noticed that like, I like long periods of silence. So yeah, and it's just like, I think learning what kind of things do like really replenish you, because it's like, could I take a week off and sleep the whole time? Like, yeah, but I'd probably feel like shit at the end of it. But like, what are things that I do that like really bring me like joy? Like, finding those things like for my personality, like, what brings me joy, and being able to like fit those in. And then, like a few years ago, actually before we opened the Silver Fern, I had sent an email out to all of my patients, and it was like, hey, like, these are my new hours. Please do not ask me to make an exception for you, because I have a hard time saying no. Yeah. So like, one thing is also just being really open. It's like, it's hard for me to say no because I'm a hard worker and I want to help you. Like, I want to help everybody. So like, like being really transparent about that helped, because none of my patients wanted me to burn out, because then that means I can't treat them. So, it's like, we all want to see each other take care of ourselves. Now, some people, if it's an inconvenience to them, are going to mouth off about it, and you know what, like, you don't need those people. And that's fine. So yeah, I would say mostly like finding the things that like really fill you up, really make you feel good and bring you joy. And honestly, like, being around like friends is a big thing for me too, like getting that friendship, fun time, laughing, it's on top of my alone time too, like balancing all of that. And then just being honest when I am feeling burnout, or when it's been too much, just vocalizing it. Because I think, like you're saying, like, we're told to just deal with it all, but it's like, no, I can say out loud what I need, and then when you say it out loud, other people hear you too, and so they kind of help you hold yourself to it.
I'll everything she said, and then also here's the thing. I'll be like, I like to be very transparent as possible, and I feel like this might stir up another whole conversation after this, but I feel like as an artist, and at my age, so I'll be 33 this summer, social media is this just mask that we all know that we're wearing.
Yep.
And it's exhausting, and it's this pressure of being like, I have to be on at all times, Here's what I'm working on. You got to see the process. I'm doing great. And I feel like, you know, that to me, I've been navigating, I've been posting less, trying to be like open about what's going on without being oversharer, because that's another thing. You don't want to be like an oversharer on your Instagram either. But, you know, I've been through some shit this past year, and I'll be open about that. Like, I don't really want to talk a lot about all of it, but, you know, my sister passing away, it was a really traumatic experience. Again, surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah.
I think something I'm learning about myself is that I take on a lot, and I don't want to let people down, and I don't give myself time to sit and actually relax. Like, that's something I'm working on, is saying, okay, if I take a day off or a half a day off to go for a walk outside, or even just like sit and play like a video game, to let myself do that and then not wake up the next day going, oh my God, okay, well, I just wasted a half day, or I just wasted a day, and now I have all of this to do, and I need to post this thing, and I need to go to work, and I need to call this person and email this person back. But in reality, you can wait 3 days to email someone back. Mm-hmm. No one's like, it's just we put this on pressure on ourselves as young entrepreneurs, as artists, because we're all fighting this fight of, you know, whatever that is to be an artist right now. And I feel like I've started to feel kind of bad when I think people come up to me, and I have imposter syndrome. I need to be more proud of myself. But there is this weird feeling of, you know, oh, you've totally got it together. You're kicking ass. And I just want to, like, sometimes in my head, I scream, no, I'm not. I'm kind of sad right now and having a hard time. And
you mean you're not girl bossing right now?
I mean, you know, I'm having a lot of life and relationship changes. And I think all the things that Brandy's talking about right now, I am in the middle of figuring out. It's like this weird turning point at this like early 30s where, yeah, I've been through life and I've seen some really awful things happen like right in front of me, and been through things that just haven't worked out the way I thought they were going to work out. And I'm learning what I need to be happy. And that, I think my art also has suffered a little bit. I mean, I'm still making all the time, but it's not, it doesn't feel as good as it used to feel. So I am excited to get through, like, you know, next couple of months, which is going to be some big changes for me. But I have an artist residency coming up that I'm really looking forward to, and thankful to have a partner like Brandy. This is like how we kind of figure out, you know, she just went away last week, and we really have to plan ahead of time. Like, I'll get invited to things or apply to things and be like, okay, this is at this time of the year. Is it a busy time of the year? Can we manage it? Can I find a friend to come in and help, and we can, you know, pay them or do a trade or whatever it is, so that I can go do this, because the shop is a big part of my life now, but I'm still also like semi-emerging into more, you know, what would you call it, established in my career, and I need to continue doing those things and like pushing it forward. And it's good for me, but it is also good for the Silver Fern. So yeah, I would say whatever that original question is about like being a woman and handling shit or whatever it was, it's hard. But I will say too, I think the biggest thing for me, like, I'm figuring out what I need to do for myself, and I don't know exactly what that is yet. I'm about to like really sit in that this year. But I don't know where I would be without my friends right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I truly do not know where I would be, because they held space for me this past year in a way that, you know, my family was honestly unable to. I had to hold space for them, like, you know, for my parents and my nieces and my sister through this process. And so, you know, I had friends that have become like family that were able to do that for me. So that's a big thing. As, you know, if you're listening and you're at a certain age, it's like the people you surround yourself with are very important. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't feel like you have to impress them all the time. And you just need to be comfortable. Like, that's really important.
In 2020, I think that a lot of people can relate to this, but 2020 was almost like this, I was just shedding all of this extra crap that I did not need to be dealing with.
And I think that COVID was kind of nice in that I had a very valid excuse of keeping to myself and, like, prioritizing me, and also, like, having time to think about, okay, well, you know, I don't feel good whenever I'm around this person. Do I really need them in my life? And there were probably, I mean, 2 or 3 people that I just said sayonara to.
Yeah.
And it was like having this weight lifted off of me. And a lot of that was trying to be everything to everyone and failing. And also, like, I think that I took a step back and I looked at all of my friends and I'm like, you know, these people, they're different. They don't ask questions about me. They don't keep up with anything that I'm doing in my life. Everything is always about them and what they're going through. And I'm tired of being around people that aren't giving back what I'm giving in. And I think that I have officially reached a point where every single person that I am friends with, like, they are legitimately good, solid people. I love them to death. And, yeah, I wouldn't change that for the world. But one problem that COVID brought was, in 2020, I was in this really weird roommate situation. I had been friends with this person since, like, kindergarten, and, yeah, that was really bad. And I left. I was able to leave, and I moved to this apartment, and I was terrified to live by myself. I had never done that before, and I really thought that, you know, well, I don't think that I knew myself yet. So I was like, what am I going to do here? Yeah. Who am I going to become here? And, you know, like, I've found a nice, like, comfortable place for myself here in a lot of ways. And for the first, you know, 1 or 2 years that I was living here, it was so nice to have that kind of little bit of isolation and being by myself to grow and change and do what I needed to do. But yeah, now, I don't know. I can tell that I'm getting kind of antsy. Like, I need more people around. Because I also work from home. So, and I go into work like 2 days a week, but I mean, I see very few people on a day-to-day basis. And at first working from home was great, but now I'm almost thinking, like, I don't know, not saying that I'm leaving my job anytime soon, but, like, I think my next job I would really like to work in a really nice, supportive office environment.
Yeah, I mean, and I worked, like, during, now granted at the point, it's so weird for me to say right now, I had a partner, right? It's like, and I worked from home, but then that became like, yeah, it was weird. It was hard to work from home and not see a lot of people, and you're there all the time. You live there, you work there. So it was really refreshing when we opened the shop, because I still half work from home, right? My studio is still at home. I teach online classes from home. But that can be a lot.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't, it's hard.
That whole thing about, like, what you said earlier about, you know, taking a half day to yourself to just do something for you. It's very hard for me to do that.
Because work is here, too.
I mean, we're using the laptop that I use for work every day to record this. And in the past, I was like, it's not that bad. I can work in my living room or my home office, and then my bedroom will be my resting area, and it totally won't have any crossover at all. And that is not true. I actually took my first mental health day on Friday, just because I needed to just not exist for a second. And it was weird. Like, I've never done that before, because I never felt like I had the right to.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you know, my job is very comfortable. I work at my own pace. I work on my freaking couch every day. And there are people like my friend Sydney who goes into Cookeville Medical Center every day and, you know, works like a 12-hour shift. And I'm like, what do I have to complain about? Or, you know, like, it's hard.
I feel you.
It's hard for me to justify
I honestly relate
it.
to that a lot. I really do.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's hard, so I'll bring up a story. When I went to the Netherlands, my ex, who recently passed away, he was wonderful. We went to the Netherlands because he was like doing this documentary thing, and we got to go to like this badass spa, right?
Yeah.
It was like, it was just like everything you could imagine. It was, you know, you had indoor pool, outdoor pool, you had saunas, you had dry saunas, wet saunas, like all these things, and we were like, okay, let's like do a service that we can't get anywhere else. And so they had this thing. It was like you got scrubbed down with olive oil, basically. Like it was like being a baby and like getting bathed and your hair washed and all this. And all he could think about the whole time, he was like, there are literally people who can't afford to eat, and we are getting washed by somebody. And I was like, I know, but like you just can't always go there. Like,
Yeah.
all you can do is like do the best in the world, put the best out there in the world that you can. And he was at that moment, he was preserving an old art style that a friend's grandmother had invented
That's
by
awesome.
through film, you know. But sometimes it's just so hard. Like it's hard when you know there's like suffering going on, when you know people have it worse than you, and you know like that, right? To like, it's hard to feel like you have a place to complain or be upset or do this or that. But it's like we all have to just meet ourselves and our own experiences and where we are at in that point in life. And, you know, the cards that we're dealt, you know, like we can't change it all. We can't do it all. You know, it doesn't mean we should ignore those things, right? But it's like we just have to give ourselves a little bit of space and grace to just, you know, like live the life that we've been handed. And most of us are fortunate that it's better than others, but it's like you can't change that.
Easier said than done, for sure. And that's something I'm actively working on, because even last year, right, it's like I knew that what I had gone through was terrible and awful, you know, and it lasted longer than I even realized at the time, you know, with my sister and her passing. And I think I was always telling myself that it's like I can't just be wallowing in this all the time, like blah blah blah, like people have had it worse, and like I'm still lucky, I'm still alive, like I'm here. But that was like me diminishing
your experience
my experience. And it was like, you know, I've honestly been sat down by Brandy and some other friends who were like, no, like what you have dealt with is literally awful, and therapy is a huge help in that right now for me, you know, talking it out and honestly figuring out what it's like now to be me with grief, because it's a new thing. Yeah. And you mentioned like living alone. Like I lived alone for 1 year in college, and I loved it. And I'm about to live alone again, and it is a scary feeling, but there's also like, yeah, I'm excited to meet who I am now, because I was talking to a friend last night about it. I was like, I guess I'm excited to like figure out who I am again. And she goes, no, you're not going to figure out who you are again, you're going to figure out who you are now. And I was like, wow, yeah, that's like an interesting way to put it. So and I think it's healthy for everyone to have that opportunity. And not everyone does get that opportunity.
Speaking of getting to know yourselves, you are two pretty ladies, and you're cool ladies. I'm so good with compliments, guys. My Riz is off the chain. So I was wondering, okay, I'm, you know, despite appearances, I am not the most confident person in the world, especially when it comes to self-confidence and self-love. And I think that in my 20s, especially now that I'm like 26 and I'm past my mid-20s, going into my late 20s, I am learning who I am more, and I think slowly liking who I am. But recently, I don't know, like, I guess since I've turned 25, I have felt more secure in who I am, more authentic to me. but I was wondering, how do you create self-confidence? And then also...
I get what you're saying. Let me go. I got you. Okay.
We'll
First of all, it's age. For me, as you get older, you give less and less of a shit. So that is definitely. I feel like out of the bunch, like maybe I had it easiest because I didn't grow up with social media, so I didn't like have that. I mean, granted, we still had like. Yes, my mother forced me to go to a tanning bed when I was young because I was too pale.
You should see her glamour shots. Can we share them for this podcast?
Tanning beds in my house, that was how you get the cancer.
Yeah, well, see, now my mom cries about it because she's like, oh my God, I could have given you skin cancer. And like, now she's upset, but it's like, I was told, oh, if you lose enough weight to go down a size, I'll buy you a new wardrobe. Like, all of that shit was like said to me.
Oh, I had stuff.
And, but it's, luckily, like, my personality just, like, didn't care. Like, I never cared to be popular. I just, like, didn't care. I never cared about dating when I was in high school. Like, it was more important to me. I guess I was, like, planning my exit plan. Like, how do I just get out? Like, and get away from all of it. I can do all
that stuff later.
Yeah, so one, like, I think that just helped, right? Like, of course, like, I probably never had a lot of confidence either. Like, I always, of course, looking back at pictures of myself, like, always felt like I was too big, too overweight. I am a tall girl, like, Brie is too. And, like, I was told a lot that I was intimidating to men or whatever, just because, like, I'm not a loud person. Scary. Yeah, like, maybe I look scary. And, I didn't start getting tattooed until, I was 20, I think. And I definitely didn't have any visible tattoos until I was, like, in my late 20s. So, like, I guess maybe my presence was just, like, intimidating, even though...
I hope you haven't noticed. I've been sweating over here this whole time.
So, like, I think that always, like, gave me a little bit of a hit. But once again, like, I think, like, because I had a good father-daughter relationship... I just never felt like I needed anyone else's approval.
You're so real for that.
I mean, really, like, I know part of that comes from having, like, a father who, never, ever second guessed. Like, when I went through my weird, I used to like to wear, like, old lady polyester plaid pants, and my mom was like, why do you wear this? And she'd throw it away. And, like, I just never cared. Like, I've just been lucky enough that was just my personality. Now, was I confident all the time? Like, no, of course not. But also, like, I'm a white girl. I'm a blonde white girl. And there is privilege. Like, that comes with a certain amount of privilege. And so, like, I think that's also why I just didn't care. Because I didn't get a lot of resistance. And while I don't find myself to be, like, conventionally pretty necessarily, like,
those are the traits that everyone wants.
Those are the traits that people want for whatever reason, because like, I find olive skin and dark hair, like, really pretty. So I don't know, everyone's different. Yeah. So everyone's different. Let's be real, like, I think everyone's cute. but yeah, so for me, it really was just like getting older and just realizing, like, it just doesn't fucking matter. Like, like, when I was in Austin, I stopped shaving my legs, I stopped shaving my armpits, and, like, I know my parents were probably like, whoa, this hippie or whatever, but I was just like, one, I had to shave my armpits because I was getting fungal infections. It's sexy, I know, because I was sweating so much in Texas because it was so fucking hot there.
You got swamp pit.
I got swamp pit, and so the way to get rid of it is grow your armpit hair out.
Whoa.
The hair is there for a reason, to wick away moisture. So yeah, and I'll just tell you, like, at some point I also realized, like, if somebody doesn't want to date me because I'm just being me, like, I don't want that.
No.
And I've just never been, some people just search for relationships their whole lives. And while I've had, like, long-term ones, I mean, geez, me and Blake have been together for, like, it's going to be 8 years this year. Which is just crazy to think about. But it's like, it's never been important to me. I've never felt like I had to change myself for anybody, and I feel lucky for that. Like, do I wake up and look in the mirror and think I look just absolutely awful some days? Like, yeah. You know, like, do I notice, like, my wrinkles are coming in a little more? Like, yes. You know, like, I definitely still get blows to my confidence. Like, do I need or want to hear from my partner that I look good sometimes? Like, yeah, like, I do. Like, that's there too. But, yeah, without that constant, like, social media presence, I think it was just easy for me to be like, I just don't care. It just doesn't matter. Like, if you can't accept me for me, then see ya. Bye. Bye. Yeah. So a little bit of luck, a little bit of privilege. My Aries attitude, that's a very strong-headed, like, I just don't care. Like,
she's the fire to my water.
You get what you get here. Like, it's all out in the open, baby. So, yeah. I don't know. But don't make that think I don't, you know, that there aren't days I don't doubt what I'm doing or doubt myself or doubt. But in the end, it just, none of it matters. Like, all that matters is, like, that you feel like you've been true to yourself, that you've been good to other people and to yourself, and that's it, man. I mean, you know.
A smile is the best accessory.
Oh, gosh. Oh, is it my turn to answer this?
Yes.
This will be different.
I'll take the mic. Well, I'll start off with your damn catch.
For sure.
You are.
You're fucking funny.
You're funny. You're so cute. You got some style. You come into the shop looking all cutie duty, and I love it.
I come into the shop and stay for 2 hours.
I love it. We go, Molly's here. It's time to talk the tea.
Party.
Tea.
And buy cupcakes.
Yeah, we literally sent Molly on a cupcake mission one day. I was like, I have this cupcake gift card, free cupcakes. We're both working. Do you want to go get us some cupcakes?
We'll cut you in on it.
I was like, you can have one if you get us some. It was great. Gosh, yeah. I mean, so for me, I have had to really, I started, and it's so cliche, but like recently, I literally have started looking in the mirror and being like, hey, you got this.
That's
and like,
cliche. That's
just
cool.
like, and I even like lift up my shirt. I'm like, this little tum-tum, she cute. Like, you know,
Yeah.
I love this. Like, I have to learn to love myself. And, yeah, this is just hard for me right now. You know, it's like, again, I'm not going to like talk a lot about it, but I thought about it before coming to this interview. I'm like, no, this is like what's happening in my life right now. Like, I am going through a breakup, and 9 years. So, for those of you who cannot see me, which I'm happy about, I am tearing up already. And even though this was kind of my decision, it doesn't make it easy. And I think I have to like figure out what self-love is right now. And I know I'm capable of it, but just so you know, like, I grew up with an anorexic sister, and, you know, I love my mom, and similar to what Brandy said, like, I think she's kind of kicking herself for some of this stuff now. And I always tell her, I'm like, no, Mom, like, I had such a great upbringing. Like, I don't hold any of this against you. Like, I know you love me. Like, I know that you love who I am. But, you know, I even had the moments of just like, she would go shopping for us sometimes because it was easier, just what was going on at home, or Brittany not wanting to go out, or me not wanting to go out, because when she was at her thinnest and I was home alone while she was being brought to, you know, doctor visits or whatever, and my dad would be still at work, I would come home, eat 2 bags of Famous Amos, make myself some microwaved nachos and snack on something else, and then hide it. I would put it at the bottom of the garbage and put other things on top so that my family wouldn't know that I ate that. And then I would be like, yeah, I'm so hungry for dinner. Mm-hmm. And I put on a lot of weight, and it was hard because I know that I was only in 7th grade. I was coping with something I couldn't even understand. And meanwhile, I had a sister who was also not knowing, you know, it's a mental illness. Like, she didn't know. But I had to get over a lot of memories of my older sister, who was teeny tiny and always had been. Like, yeah. I was the blonde little roly-poly one, and she was the brunette, French-looking, fair-skinned, thinned, naturally thin, you know, person. And, you know, there were times where she would literally walk by my bedroom and go, like, look me up and down and be like, ooh, are you really going to wear that? Or say, like, she even said once to me, you know, and we talked about it, and she kind of, when she was older and she cried about it and felt bad, but she would say, like, if I looked like you, I think I'd want to kill myself. And so, you know, it's a lot. Like, and women in general, like, we never, like, everyone's story is different, but let alone, like, my personal experiences or Brandy's personal experiences or yours, like, society alone already piles on all this shit to us, like the aging commercials and just everything. And, you know, what the pandemic did for me was very different of what it did for you. I, like, fell into a dark hole. I didn't want to make my artwork anymore. I put on 40 pounds. I got really depressed. But I think something that did come out of that on the other side, like when I started to, like, take care of myself again and be like, whoa, like, I can't fall into this, like, deep abyss. But it was also around the time that, like, my sister started getting, like, ill again, and I lived far away from my family, and there wasn't much I could do. And so there were a lot of other factors there. But now it really is like I'm doing what's best for me, which is why I'm going through a lot of what I'm going through, is because I have to make these changes, and they're really hard changes. And I think that really goes hand in hand with self-confidence, right? If you let yourself stay in something that's not good for you, you're not going to be your best self. So I'm saying that out loud in a way that, like, I'm not even fully understanding it yet, but, like, I know that that is the truth and what I need to figure out. But yeah, I mean, confidence, man, it's also, you fake it till you make it. Like, I'm going to go out, and we're both shop owners, and we have to put on, like, we're ourselves. We're very much ourselves at the shop. But to a certain extent, you do have to put on a not a performance, but, like, you got to put your best foot forward if possible. And that's also exhausting. And I think it can be even exhausting for us sometimes. We talk about it. It's like we are almost put on, not a pedestal, but, like, people expect a certain amount of, like, confidence and whatever from us. And we are just like, man, we just people. We just people trying to make a cool business happen. And it's a lot of work, but we appreciate the support. Yeah. But yeah, I work on my self-confidence every day. And honestly, wearing less makeup has helped me, because I've learn to love just, like, what I look like and not feel like I need to cover my face up. But I do like wearing makeup occasionally, and it's more of a fun thing then. It's like, ooh, do I want a pop of color, or, like, a fun thing? But I don't feel like I need it anymore. And I think that is facing age, like, face on, right? Like, I think a lot of people are afraid of aging, and I do also have a weird perception of aging now, because my sister died, like, I don't know, she died in April of last year, and she would have been 35 in October. And now, me turning 33, it's like I'm starting to be thankful for aging. And I don't know, I have this weird thought about my 35th birthday, because I'm going to be older than my older sister, and that's not something that should have it's not like a natural occurring thing. And so I think, in a weird way, I'm almost excited to age. I think I don't know. I think I'll be better the older I get too. So I'm trying not to be afraid of that. Like, yeah, there's the wrinkle thing. Like, I even looked at my face this morning. I was like, what's this? Like, what is that? But then I'm also like, but thank God for that, right? Like, that means I'm here, and I'm still trying, and I'm just trying to be me, my best self. So you cute, and you awesome, and you smart, and you talented. And don't let nobody else tell you that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're quite a catch.
Wow. So...
Sorry, that got heated!
No, you're fine.
Dark, deep, and sad.
Well, whenever you said, you know, this is where I'm at in my life, I'm glad that you're talking about it, because, I mean, the whole reason why I want to have this podcast in the first place, because I want this nice time capsule of where my friends are at in their lives and what they're doing and how they're feeling. So it'll be cool to, you know, look back on.
Have me on in like 2 years. We'll see what's changed.
You come in like raining money.
Yeah. I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe one reason why I look up to you guys the way that I do, or that I think you're so cool, is because I have a very I have a very weird relationship with femininity in that I'm an only child.
So am I.
Hell yeah. My parents divorced when I was 2, so I never knew my parents together, and I pretty much just saw my mom like every other weekend from the time I was probably like 8 until, now to this day. So basically my grandmother was kind of like a second mom, and she was really around more, I guess, unfortunately, than my mom, because of circumstances. But, I didn't really have a contemporary, feminine voice in my house growing up. My feminine influences were my grandmother, who was, in her 70s, and then my mom, who was, around, but we had a very limited time together, so, I never learned how to braid my hair, so, just, weird things like that.
I do recall us showing you how to put on a bandana once.
Yeah. I forgot about that. I'd never done that before. So, on my makeup, I don't even do makeup anymore, but whenever I did, I taught myself, and I think that that's probably why I never really felt that confident in it, because it's not like I was ever really that great at it in the first place. But I have a really great relationship with my dad too, in a lot of ways, but then other ways it's like, damn dude, really?
Well, that's just because of his he's a man, and he's a white man, and
he's 59 years old.
Yep,
I'm also definitely a daddy's girl, it's like we have a very close relationship, but dads are dads.
Yeah, they're still dads.
My daddy and Grady would make fun of me growing up for this, but I would always bring it up. Whenever I was probably 5 or 6, they took me, without my mom's knowledge, to get a haircut. And I had a bowl cut from then until I was about 10 or 11, however old you are in 6th grade.
Okay.
10. And they finally let me grow it out after years and years of begging them to just, please stop cutting my hair so short. But I'm a child and I don't have autonomy. Anyway, for Granny, she never understood why this haircut was so bad, because she had that haircut. Mm-hmm. She was born in 1942 or something. And then my other grandmother, she was born during the Great Depression. She also had that haircut. It was the haircut that every little girl had. Yeah. It was Dust Bowl orphan chic. Yeah. And then my dad, he is a straight man. That was an easy hairstyle for him to take care of. He didn't want to take the time to brush out my hair or really do anything with it. And so it was just easy for everyone. And he always encouraged me to find women to look up to, which I don't think a lot of dads do typically. He kind of went above and beyond in that category, because I think that he knew that I was kind of lacking in that area.
Sure.
But he would buy me books about, Amelia Earhart or, Annie Oakley. Just really cool ladies that I can look up to and be inspired by. And I think that that's why my relationship to being a woman is almost more so what I can achieve and say and do in my community, rather than what I'm wearing, what I'm doing with my hair, whatever. But that's not to say that I haven't wanted that. It's been hard for me to find a balance of staying true to who I am, but also kind of exploring that more feminine side of myself. When was a time where you looked around at yourself and you were like, I am a woman and I am comfortable in this body?
It's about to get raw. You ready?
Tear it wide open.
I know,
okay.
Your first few podcasts have been so fun and funny. Get ready, y'all.
That's too damn bad.
Okay, so, where do I begin? Okay, so I have said many times that drag queens saved my life.
Yeah.
And this is why. So when I was in high school, I was like sexually assaulted by members of the drum line, because I was also on the drum line at the time. I was the only female, and of course, like that was the start of me hating being a woman. So I hated the fact that I was a woman, because it meant I was weak. The way that I got revenge in that time, I was a freshman then when I was assaulted. By the time I was a senior, there were no men in the drum line. It was an all-female drum line, and I was the leader of it. So that was one way of like overcoming it. But I still kind of resented that I was a woman. Also, like having endometriosis and like having these terrible periods that were debilitating. Like, so move on to my 20s. I'm in college. I once again am sexually assaulted by someone who was supposedly my best friend. And once again, like, instead of me thinking this is like something fucked up with men, I was like, this is because I'm a woman. Like, this is happening to me because I'm a woman. I'm not strong enough. I'm not whatever. Like, so I went through a period, and it's interesting because it's like, if I had the language that we had today, like about being non-binary and stuff, like I maybe went more towards that at that time, because I just didn't care to be a woman. I didn't like being a woman. I didn't associate my body. Like, I didn't want to think about my body as like a woman or anything like that. And so this was also when I went to Lee University, which I don't know if you're familiar, but it is a Church of God university. So not only am I like hating being a woman, but I am in a Christian university, and I am basically figuring out that I don't believe in Christianity. So I'm becoming depressed. I'm cutting myself. I'm, suicidal. I'm not having a good time. And I start to become friends with the waiters at the Denny's. This is a late night Denny's in Cleveland, Tennessee. And come to find out, these waiters were drag queens. And so I really like find a group of people who, they were into the kind of music. They were into like punk rock, hardcore, metal, all of that. So we kind of like gravitate towards this Denny's. We stay there. We're in the smoking section, because there was a smoking section back then. I never was a cigarette smoker, but, sat with all of them. And then we start befriending these drag queens. And basically, like, through befriending them and going to drag shows, like, I was just like, why do you want to be a woman? Like, why do you want to dress like a woman? Like, because in my brain, I'm like, we're weak, like, nobody listens to us. We're weak. It's not good. And they're like, oh, no, honey. So, and they, taught me how being a woman is powerful, and how being attractive can be powerful, and how, like how you don't have to feel victimized, and, like all the power within that. And so that is when I finally, I think, stopped hating the fact that I was a woman. And it took a while before I like really stepped into my femininity, because unlike you, when I was a child, my mother wouldn't let me cut my hair, and it wasn't for religious reasons. It was for like vanity, right? Yeah. So as soon as I left the homestead, I cut all my hair off. So yeah, so I had very short hair. I definitely probably like, I would look girly sometimes, but presented a little bit more like, and that comes some of that intimidation. Like, I wanted to be like tough, like, that's where some of that, I say I don't know why people are intimidated. I definitely was like presenting that, because I never wanted to be taken, I never wanted to be taken advantage of again. And, and so, and then like my last long-term partner, he was very, he wasn't like a super masculine dude at all. Like, he was, very gentle, very sweet, an amazing person. And so I never like, there's nothing bad about that, but in that dynamic, I felt sometimes more masculine in that dynamic. And so actually my current partner, Blake, it's been very interesting dating someone. He is like not someone I ever thought I would be with, but he's like sports, super masculine. He's like a man's man. And within that like dynamic, I actually have been able to like, I feel like it's safer for me to like be more feminine. And not that I need him to like bring that out, but it's interesting how different dynamics in your life and relationships can just foster different things. Like, none of those things are bad, and that also just speaks to the fact that gender's a construct and it doesn't matter. But it's like, being around like a more masculine energy has allowed me to like explore my femininity a little bit more. And, sometimes I do. And really, I think I'm kind of in the middle now where I'm just like, whatever. But yeah, that's that's my story about that. So yeah, it's, and it's fun to be both, but no, being a woman's freaking awesome because our brains work better than men's.
Hell yeah.
It's like
think about multiple
things at one time. It's
and
just
we can think about other people.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
crazy.
amazing. It's wild. So yeah, I don't know. It's also interesting because I never ever thought I would date a man again, but here we are. So, yeah, but I just fucking love women. Like I said earlier in the podcast, like the women that I'm surrounded with right now, the women I continue to meet, it's just like knowing in Cookeville we have so many women business owners. It's like the way that we can like shape the world is really exciting. Like it's never been a more exciting time to be a woman. Definitely wasn't a long time ago exciting at all. So, like, I don't know. I'm happy that, it was quite a journey, but I'm finally in a place in my life where I appreciate, women more also because we're also just like told to be competitive with each other and it's stupid and like nitpick each other. And honestly, like there are a lot of women who really hate women and it's not their fault. It's just because we've been told to get ahead. You have to, you can't like work together. There's always got to be someone that's like lower than you that you can put down. And that's not true. Yeah.
I'll keep my answer a little shorter. I mean, gosh, I still feel like there are times that I'm, I feel very comfortable when I'm dressed very androgynously. But like I said before, like there are days where I really want to be done up, and then there are days where I want to be in my overalls and my pee pee poo poo hat, and I want to walk around town and not get looked at. And but I do have a memory of like a time where I felt so good in my body and confident was the first, in college I dated someone for 5 years, and he always would tell me things like I mentioned that it was when I started getting tattoos. Like my first tattoo was when I was 19, similar to like Brandy, right? It was kind of like I wanted this. I've always wanted tattoos since I was like a little kid.
Because they're cool.
Well, I can't remember where or when it was, but I have a vivid memory of being like a little kid in some restaurant with my parents, and I saw a woman come in, and I think she had like a sleeve, like I could see it, and I was just fascinated by it. And I would always draw myself as a kid and whatever. But I was with this person in college, and not only and this is why we did not work out, like he didn't really appreciate art, and that's very important to me, and he just didn't really care or understand that how I was going to make a living, doing that. But it was also like I started getting tattoos, and he was kind of like, how many tattoos are you going to get? And I was like, I don't know, as many as I fucking want. And then also I mentioned once, I have long hair now, but I had always wanted to cut my hair off. Like I really wanted to go short, like pixie cut. And I had mentioned that a few times, and he was kind of like, nah, girls with short hair are ugly.
Okay.
And it was not long after that we were no longer a couple anymore. Good. And I remember waking up one day and just being like, I don't need to run this by anyone. Like, I'm going to go cut all my hair off. And I did. I went to a salon. I was living in Boston, and I went in there, and I had, long hair, and this woman was like, what do you want to do? And I was like, this. And I like pulled up a picture, and she was like, are you sure? And I was like, 100%. Like, cut it off. Like, it will grow back. And I remember looking in the mirror and being like, oh my God, yes. Like, I look so darn cute. Like, I loved the short hair. And I told no one. And then my friend Sarah, she's a musician. She's out in LA now. She goes by Annabelle Lee. You should listen to her music. But she was like, hey, do you want to come to this concert? Like someone playing out in Alston at that time. And I was like, hell yeah. And I didn't tell her. And I literally hopped on the train in Boston. and went straight to her after the hair appointment because it was later in the evening, because this was really like a whim. And I remember I was wearing this like weird fluffy blue jacket with like plaid on the inside. I had like short ripped, like I was like an art school Boston kid at that point, but I like, you know, was all dressed up to be as cute as I could be with my freaking short hair. And I walk around the corner and she's standing outside and she's looking at me, and then her face just like, you know, it's the like, whoa, 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 like, Brie. And she started crying and was like, "You've never looked more like you."
Damn.
And I was just like, thank you. It was like I was out with my ladies.
That's the best compliment you could ever get.
Right? And don't get me wrong, I love my hair now too. I've been growing it out. That's what I did during the pandemic too. Mullet, undercuts, all the crazy stuff. And I will definitely shave my head though again one day. There's nothing more freeing than to just be like, I'm done with this for now, because it grows back. But I think that time in my life was like, I was 23. I think, yeah, 23. And yeah, I like learned to like really just like love me and be a woman, and I could do it in my way. But I'm still figuring it out.
I love that. I mean, that's so true. That's like a really great mentality to have. Like, I do not need a cosigner on my body.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing my own thing. I really need to get to that point myself, because I really want tats. I want them so bad.
I'll go with you.
That'd be cool.
I went with a friend. I play tennis with someone, and, you know, she's older, and she just was like, I want to get a tattoo. And I was like, and then she was like, will you come? I made an appointment. And I like sat with her, and she got her very first tattoo. And her son is probably like, I think she's got kids that are turning 20, and they were like, cool, Mom. Yeah. But like, my dad got his first tattoo like a year or two ago, and he's turning 73 this year.
That's so cool.
So, you know, no pressure. You can do it at any time.
They're there forever, so don't worry about it.
I mean, I have, but my cosigner voice in my head is my mom. I think that my dad would be, he might be a little bit turned off by it, but I think that he'd be fine as long as the tattoo was, like, cool to him.
Sure.
Well,
but my mom, like, if I ever got a tattoo, I mean, I remember this growing up. One thing that I really didn't like about growing up when it comes to my mom is she kind of gave me several opportunities to let me know that she'd be pretty quick to disown me if, you know, I ever got tattoos, because they're so tacky and all this stuff. I'll disown you if you come home and have a tattoo. Or, you know, if you're gay, I'll disown you, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, you already only see me twice a month, so, I don't know. But anyway, sorry if you heard that, Mom. Doubt it, but, like, I just need to, like, get past that point and just pull the fucking trigger, because, like...
Oh, look, they're gonna be sad, they're gonna be disappointed, and then they're gonna get over it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, my parents used to say to me, like, I got one, and I warned, like, I was that kid, too, where it's like, I'm a people pleaser, and so I was like, I'm just giving you a warning, I'm going to get a tattoo, and they were like, what is it? Like, you know, like, they didn't want me to get one, and my mom was like, the first 3 tattoos I got, what she said was, you know, at least they're pretty.
Okay.
And now they don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I have a little weird, like, space hot dog on my foot. You
That's
know,
cool.
it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember, I actually didn't get a tattoo until I got my mom's approval, and it's because I had, like, gauged ears, and she goes, if you take those things out of your ears, I don't care how many tattoos you get. And I go, are you serious? She goes, yeah. I was like, cool. I was like visiting home from college. I went back to college, took the plugs out of my ears, and went straight and got a tattoo.
Hell yeah.
She just didn't know what it was going to turn into. She just probably never thought I would be. But, you know, I mean, my grandpa had tattoos because he was in the war. And
that's cool.
So my grandpa was in the war, and he didn't have tattoos, and he used to call me the painted lady. And he would be like...
That's cool, though.
But he also was... Well, he died, like, a month or two before he was 100, and this was, like, 2019. But he was like, aren't you worried about getting them diseases? Like, and I was like, Howard, they don't use... It's very sterile. Like, in some senses, it's, like, cleaner than a doctor's office, the places I'm going. Like, it's good. We're good.
That is so interesting to me, because he was probably in World War II, right?
Yes.
I'm sitting here thinking, like, he probably heard about some sailor stories about getting tattooed in Shanghai
he was
or
literally
something.
he's been on ships, like, he was like, I've seen what they do to people, and I'm like,
That's
it's
so
not
cool.
that.
Yeah. It's changed a little bit over the years.
Okay, not if, when I get tattooed.
That's right.
I have always loved American traditional. I think it's so classic and so cool, and also just funky and folksy. I love Sailor Jerry style stuff.
That's fair. I see that for you.
Oh, well, my dad, he was like, I mean, I think that I would be fine with you getting a tattoo if it was like of something cool, like a battleship or an eagle or something. I'm like, hell yeah. But let me see. Oh, okay. Well, one reason why I'm interested in getting tattoos is because so many of my friends, once they started getting tatted, their confidence just shot up.
Just about to say, to go back to the confidence thing, and this is not true for everyone, and like, I get it, some people may regret that they get tattoos as they get older, but for me personally, every single time I've gotten a tattoo, I feel more confident, or it's like I feel more myself, like my friend Sarah said after I cut my hair. And there's also, like, you know, maybe there's parts of our bodies that we are self-conscious of. Well, I don't know.
Slap a tattoo on it, baby, and you love it.
I'm like,
I got my panther.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So, like, I'm excited to get, you know, I want to get, it's kind of like upper stomach, under your t-taws, your little titty toots. Like, I want that covered up because I always was really I call them my second boobs. Like, I just have always had this, and it's my body. There's nothing, like, wrong with it, but if I can just bring attention to it in a way that I want to bring attention to it, then I'm like, hell yeah.
It's true. It's almost like when you make a decision to put something permanent on your body, like, you have complete control over that, and you are controlling how your body looks instead of feeling...
And we have to do other work to love ourselves, too. Tattoos
Absolutely.
won't, like,
they're not going to solve shit,
the problems, but it does make me feel like, look at that. Like, now I got a crab. Look at him. He got 4 eyes.
That's so cool. And he doesn't have glasses on.
No.
He has a naturally occurring 4 eyes. I don't remember who it was, but there was another plus-size person who got tatted, and basically they said, you know, I have tattoos on my arms, I have tattoos on my thighs where, you know, I didn't like them because it was flabby or whatever, but how can I not like them when they're covered in works of art? It's like, that's very fair. And like my friend Rebecca, I remember whenever she got her first tattoo, or one of her first, I think it was a pumpkin that she got first. I don't remember. Because growing up, her family called her Pumpkinhead because the Riggs family has very large heads. Anyway, she just immediately, like, I could tell, like, it was just this breath of fresh air for her, and I feel like looking at that in the mirror would be cool and uplifting.
Well, and it's also like, it's like now you're in the tribe. Like, now you're in the tattoo tribe. Like,
also,
it's
tattoos,
kind of
like,
fun.
some of them don't have meaning, like, especially now that I have so many that have gotten some stupid ones that just make me laugh.
But all of my first ones did.
But I also still, like, even some of the silly ones, right? It's more of kind of like how you talked about your podcast. This is the place and the time that we're at. It's like, I feel like for me, I can look at certain tattoos and remember where I was at that time in my life.
Oh, this is hot dog time.
Yeah. I mean, that is a stick and poke. My space hot dog is done by a friend of mine, and I remember where I was, you know? It's like, I remember what we were doing.
That's cool.
And I think of her. So, it might be my stupidest tattoo, but it's one of my favorites.
It's one of my favorites, too.
It's cool.
Even though it's, like, not the best done. It's definitely my favorite.
I want to get it. Needs to be touched up. It needs to be darker.
He's so cute.
I really want to get a Snoopy.
Oh my gosh.
I love Snoopy. I also found out today on Twitter, in fact, that in Mexico they call Snoopy a Snoopy.
It's Snoopy.
Going from the tattoo thing and finding ways to feel more confident in your body. I feel like a lot of the reasons why we give ourselves reasons to, like, feel, you know, uncomfortable and weird in our own skin is just because we come from, you know, families, I think, and when I say we, I mean I think everyone does. Yeah. We come from families that have certain ideas and opinions on things just ingrained in them. Being a fat woman, you know why I'm fat? I come from a long line of short, fat people on both sides of my family. Like, we all look like this. I don't think I know of anyone taller than 5'5". And we're all fat people. But, you know, for whatever reason, it's not okay for me to be fat.
Oh, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So... How dare you?
How dare I? And, being aware of the fact that I was, quote-unquote, overweight from the time I was 3 or 4 years old. Yeah. And I think a lot of that had to do with my family's insecurities, but I mean, my mother, weight has been a huge signifier of self-worth for her entire life. Recently, she lost about 80 pounds because she bought into this diet program. I don't remember what it's called, but it cost an arm and a leg, like thousands of dollars. But over the course of about 6 months, she lost all of this weight. It's like the first thing that's ever worked for her. And it's been really weird for me because growing up, we were always about the same size. And, you know, the comments that she was making then, she has never flat out told me, you are fat, you need to lose weight, whatever. My dad has. But my mom, she basically would just say all of these things about herself, which, you know, I'm looking at you, woman. I look exactly like you.
Right.
If you're sitting there calling yourself a cow, I guess I am too. But now that she has lost the weight and has you know, found this body that she has always wanted, it's especially weird because now it's even more obvious that we are different and that I am still fat. So that's been really, really weird. But my dad, I think he can be very traditional at times, and I think that for him, women look a certain way. So it's been hard with that. And also, I think that my whole family, we kind of just constantly give each other shit. So I kind of grew up with a big hard shell on my back, but I mean, I still have that soft underbelly that can get to me sometimes. There's a lot of things that are just like factually untrue that that people in my family and just people growing up, like, they've had these assumptions about fat people that they heard somewhere or they saw on some like super scary news program. One of my favorites, my dad, okay, like, this is obviously not the way to try and get me to lose weight. I mean, not that it's that easy, but basically just, I don't know, guilt-tripping me or trying to make me, I guess, just feel bad about the choices I'm making and blah, blah, blah. He would, he's kind of stopped recently because I think that he knows that I don't give a shit anymore, and also it's not helpful and also incredibly hurtful, and I've told him as much. But one of the funniest stories he ever told me, he, honest to God, thought this. He was like, you know, fat people shit themselves more.
What?
And I said, what are you talking about? And he goes, well, remember Al Roker? How heavy Al Roker was? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, he said that the reason why he decided to lose weight is because he crapped himself on set one day because he was so fat that happened.
That's wild.
And I said,
I wouldn't call that empirical evidence.
no, I don't think, no.
There's a lot of very unhealthy skinny people, and let me tell you, I guarantee you they shit themselves quite often.
Yes.
People of all sizes shit themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pee pee poo poo, we all do it.
Pee pee poo poo.
Pee pee poo poo.
I'll say this, like, I grew up, you know, I was never, like, I was a little chubby kid. I was never, like, you know, I look at myself now and I'm like, I was so unkind, and other people were very unkind. But, like, I did have parents, and shit, they might listen to this because they're very supportive, so they try and listen to everything. Yeah. But, like, I will say, and we've talked about this, like, my dad, like, he's never said anything to me. He's been very kind. I mean, he's made comments, though, right in front of me about other people, and it's like, I'm standing right here, like, and I usually call them out on it. I'll be like, don't do that, that's not okay. But my mom, you know, growing up, I got put on diets, like we did the Atkinson diet. I was brought to a nutritionist.
Wow.
But, like, you know, I know she did it out of love. It was misguided because, you know, it was when my sister was, like, anorexic, and then I think I started putting on a lot of weight quite rapidly because of my hidden Famous Amos cookies. And so she brought me to a nutritionist, and she thought, you know, if Brittany was going to a nutritionist for this reason, let's just even the whatever, and Brie also needs to go to a nutritionist. But it's like, I was counting calories and doing these things when I was in middle school.
Yep.
Like, that's not...
That was me with just, my thin Oreo Nabisco,
right?
100 calorie pack cookies, yeah.
And similar to kind of what you had said about, you know, things with your mom, it's like my mom and I, like, I've always been a lot taller than her, but she's a lot smaller than me now. She's lost a lot of weight recently. I think, you know, exercise has helped her mentally, so that is one thing, and she's healthy and happy. But when I was in, like, I don't know, honestly, end of middle school, like 8th grade up until, like, early college, if she lost weight or something didn't fit her anymore, she'd come in and I love you, Mom, but she would say, man, this is so big on me, I think it'll fit you perfectly. And I'm always like, dude, no, it's not, though. And I'd be like, Mom, and then we would get into a little bit of a fight. I'm like, Mom, it'll fit me the same. And she goes, no, just put it on. And I'm like, you're gonna put me through this? Stop.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, man, it is just, parents don't help. They love us, but it's generational trauma. Like, right. I think, you know, she was bigger than her mom. Like, her mom was teeny tiny. My grandma was, like, literally a toothpick. So I'm sure, you know, there's shit. This is shit.
My mom, and again, not to just, like, trash her this entire episode. My mom, she had this skirt that she kept for quite literally decades. I think she probably wore it in the early 90s. I don't know. But she kept it because it was a size 0. Oh. And she kept it to prove to herself and to me, because she would show me, like, once a year, see what I used to wear? I used to be this small. Almost like it was like a trophy or an achievement that it was that small. And what's crazy to me is the reason why she was that skinny, before she met my dad, she was in an incredibly abusive relationship where this man, he was physically violent with her, stressed her out to the point where she just stopped eating.
Yeah. And
for years, like, growing up, I'm like, it's almost like she would be willing to go through that time again just to have the body that she thinks that she needs. And it's just really sad. Yeah. So, I went with my mom to see the Barbie movie.
Oh.
And she is a conservative lady, but I thought that she would be receptive to it, and she was. She liked it a lot. I don't think that it hit her as hard as it did me.
Sure. Same.
One reason why I was kind of apprehensive to go with her, you know, the mother and the daughter in the film, America Ferrera and her daughter, they're drifting apart. They're not communicating as much. And, the mom, like, really misses her kid. And it's like, she's sitting right next to me, and I'm like, does she feel this way right now? I don't know. And, the first time I saw that movie, I was in tears. I mean, I was sobbing by the end of the movie because it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was fine. Like, I think she liked it, but I don't think that it, like, really hit her the way that it did me. But, like, I think that so many people were, like, legitimately healed, or at least heard by the Barbie movie.
Oh my gosh.
It was so
Absolutely.
big.
I mean, my mom kind of talked about it in the same way. She loved it. She enjoyed it. But I don't think it did not hit her the way it hit me.
Yeah.
And my goodness, I felt very seen. And, like, I know there is, like, commentary and issues with people who don't think it's perfect. But then again, I'm like, here again, this movie is made by women, for women. It is lighthearted, but also serious. And everyone is critiquing it to the utmost. I'm like, nothing will be perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. This movie can only say so much in a short amount of time. Like, yes, we need more than just the Barbie movie. Like, the fucking Barbie movie's not the answer. But just let us have this moment.
Yeah.
Just don't criticize it that hard. It's like, shit.
Yeah.
This is why we can't have nice things.
But I loved it. That, like, montage at the end. I just...
Oh, yeah, bawled
my eyes
And
out.
then the second time I saw it, I just totally bawled at the opening scene. That's like the 2001 Space Odyssey of the girls. Like, it just like...
I'm like,
it
hell
just,
yeah, you smash those babies.
It just like hit me again, like, so hard. Yeah. I think I was more emotional watching it the second time
And
around.
I also love the
Because
Ken
it's
song.
so great that it exists.
The Ken song is great, and that might be...
Yes.
People are going to go, oh, Brie. Because now all these people are mad that the Ken song won awards, and they're like, it's about women, but then men win. And my thing is, like, y'all are missing the point. That Ken song is so freaking funny, and it is making fun of what basically men in society has done to women. And that's the whole point of the movie. And if you don't get that, then you just didn't
Pack
get
it
the
up,
movie.
Buster.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so good.
Yeah.
Love it.
But that ending montage,
Ugh.
just like showing women existing as people.
Just existing. Purely existing.
My hand is raised. I am like witnessing to the Lord right now. I am being like altar call moment right now.
Yeah, it's sad that, like, we get so excited about something so simple.
Yeah.
And I really do. It's like that montage, like America for, like her just saying, like, we literally can't, like, all these questions, right, that we've been getting asked by you today. It's like, it is just that, right? Like, we have to be everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that is so exhausting.
But it's always still not enough to somebody.
No.
But you know what? It's enough to me.
It's enough to me,
You're
too.
enough to me.
I love
And you're
you.
enough to me.
Damn.
And I love all my friends. You're all enough.
Well, this Barbie is really happy that you came on her podcast today.
No.
This
Well,
Barbie's really honored to be sitting on your couch.
Oh my gosh, thanks.
yeah, this Barbie's stoked too. I guess I gotta do it too, right?
Get with it.
Whoa.
Well, I think that we're close to the 2-hour mark here.
I knew it was. You said we couldn't go 3 hours. I knew that if you didn't stop us,
I mean,
it would go
we
3
could
hours.
go longer. I don't know. Is there anything that you guys wanted to plug?
Oh, I don't know. We'll keep it cash. I mean, just come see us.
Yeah, come talk to us. We're at the Silver Fern.
We do have a lot of really cool exhibitions coming up this year, and they're all on our website in the Fiddlehead Gallery area. So I'm not even going to go through them right now because I feel like this is more about us as people and not as business owners, and I like that. And I
But
appreciate
come talk to us as people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well-
I really do feel like I can do that. One
Aw.
reason why I love the Silver Fern is because it's automatically very welcoming and supportive.
Oh, well, that's part of the goal.
Yeah. Well,
Goal accomplished.
again, thank you guys for coming on. I actually have some famous Amos cookies in my kitchen right now. If you
We're
wanted
about to eat
have
that whole
some.
bag.
I'm going to eat it.
Yay! Well, thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.